welcome back to the channel. It's your man King Anan, and I'm over here today, or we're over here today in a place called Jamestown Coffee Company, and it's over here in Yanaba Estates, which is like on the other side of Labadi Beach Road. So the pretty lady that I'm with here today is Adjoa. Adjoa moved to Ghana a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, almost 2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years, and you might recognize the face because you've probably seen her on the channel. I interviewed her some time ago because of her story on CBS Morning News. One day, just going through YouTube, I saw this video of this lady right here and she had an amazing story. So I'll put the link in the description box below. But if you don't know about her, Adjoa, please go ahead and introduce yourself to the people and let them know a little bit about you.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you, Anand, for having me again. I always enjoy talking to you. My name is Adjoa, formerly Sonjai Davis. I have formally changed my name since living here, and I am from Washington, D.C., and I'm a former congressional staffer. I'm a mental health therapist. I have a private practice based in Washington, D.C., and I am in Ghana. I have a nonprofit organization called Soaring Sistars Foundation, where we help women and their children transition to Ghana. We provide any kind of service you need in order to make your transition a lot smoother, educate you on a lot of things like the laws, the traditions, and so forth. About Ghana and Ghanaians, and I'm also a dating and relationship coach, so I help women understand international dating, specifically here in Ghana, understanding the traditions, how dating, what it's supposed to look like, what marriage is supposed to look like, in order to kind of minimize the incidence of romance scams, which is a really big issue now.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, we're gonna get into that on this video. But okay, and also the link for her organization is going to be in the description box, so check it out. But yeah, so since you've been in Ghana for 2 years, you've got a good sample size of Ghana.
Yes.
What do you think about this so-called magical land that a lot of diasporans want to move to? What are you seeing about Ghana?
I love Ghana just because of the freedom. But with anything, you can have a little too much of something,
right.
And one of the things that that happens with having a little too much freedom is that there are rules or laws on the books, but they're not always enforced. So they can work to your advantage, but then other times they don't work for your advantage. So.
Okay.
Yeah. And I always like to tell people, I think a lot of people romanticize Africa in general, and understand that, every place has its issues. There's no utopia. So you've got to come with a very open mind. This is one of the things, we try to help people with, is understanding tradition.
Okay.
I know we talked about this a little earlier,
right.
How tradition it guides a lot of things. And so you got to really understand those traditions to understand the people and how things operate here.
Wow, that's really interesting. So, are you ever moving back to the States?
Oh goodness, no.
Oh.
No. Someone posted a question, I think, in one of the groups, Facebook groups, and asked, like, if something were to happen, where would you move back to in the States? And I'm like, I wouldn't go back to the States. Like, I have an alternative plan. I'll go to another African country or something, because I cannot do the States ever again. I just cannot. I know some people love the States. More power to you. For my mental health, I cannot do the United States of America.
Wow. So yeah, she's committed to being here in Ghana, at least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. So since you've been here, what have you found out about Ghanaians that some of the folks out there might not know? How are Ghanaians? What are the different traditions and stuff like that? What has really stood out to you about Ghanaians?
Traditionally, Ghanaians are very big on respect. Respecting your elders, respecting, positions of power, things like that. Which, as I said, there can be, some pluses and minuses to each side of that. So think that's been one of the biggest challenges. Another thing is driving. We were talking about driving earlier. I can never drive in Ghana. I can't. It would have to be a dire emergency for me to get behind the wheel of a car in Ghana. But also to just as we were talking about certain systems, and how people do that. There's always that running joke about, Africans are always late, or, they never start things on time.
Right.
And there's just, the sense of just, no sense of hurry or, pressure. And I love that about Ghana. But then, when it comes to getting things done, it can be, a little taxing. So one thing that I tell people, and someone told me this, as coming from America, being a very, business-oriented person, working, in certain sectors, being on time is essential, right? And being able to get things done in a certain, in a timely fashion is essential. So you find that a lot of Ghanaians just don't have this sense of urgency, which it translates into many different things. But one of the things that someone told me was that Ghanaians are raised to never say no.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I think I kind of explained this to you earlier. And when I thought about that, I thought about how all the different ways that shows up in the everyday world, right? And so, for example, if you ask a Ghanaian for directions, they may not have a clue about what you're talking about, but they'll say, "Oh, okay," and give you directions, and you'll be just as lost as you were before you started, right?
We'll still try to help you out.
They're very people-pleasing type of people. They always want to please you. Another way that it shows up, and this shows up in relationships too, like when we're dating, there's no accountability. If there is a mistake made, they take offense if you bring it to their attention, because it's like they're wrong. They don't ever want to be wrong, or they don't ever want to offend, but they don't understand that if you don't say no, or that you're trying to do something that you don't know how to do, it's just as offensive. You get me?
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you created a great segue into my next question about relationships between men and women. I mean, you've been here a while, so I don't necessarily know what what your current situation is, but tell me, your interactions with men, Ghanaian men. What has that been like?
Oh, how long do we have?
As much time as you have.
Oh my! I am happily single. And I think I plan to stay that way if I have to stick with Ghanaian men.
Wow.
So, there's such differences. And my brothers, I have two brothers, and we're very, very close. And they always say that if I marry a Ghanaian man, it's going to be someone that has traveled abroad or lived abroad for a while and come back, because a very traditional Ghanaian man is not going to know what to do with me. So Ghanaian men they essentially are the leaders in the community, and they do everything for the women in their lives, and I'm an example of that from the way my brothers are with me. They do everything for me. Like, I don't know how to pay it. Like in America, I had to do everything myself.
Right.
Here, I don't know how to pay a bill. I don't drive. I don't do those everyday things that I've had to do. I don't have to do them because my brothers really take on that role of caretaking, and I'm the only girl in the family too. So it's like, they are very protective. So that shows up in the dating world. Okay. It shows up as they may seem a little possessive. Okay. So if they behave the same way in America, we would think, oh gosh, he's possessive. Oh, he's trying to control you. He's, it would mean something negative. Right. But here, it's something completely different. Okay. They take the role of protector. I mean, they take it serious. So it's like, so I'm a socialite, I'm always coming and going. So my brothers, it took them a while to be like, okay, we can't keep telling you to come home by a certain time, right? So they've learned to kind of bend a little bit.
Yeah, you still want to have your freedom.
I do, I'm used to that, but they're not used to that. They're used to saying, okay, sister, you got to be home. It's dark, you need to be home. And, but as an American woman, I'm like, wait, it's dark, that's when the party's just getting started, right?
Right.
So they didn't understand that. So if you're dating an African man or it's a Ghanaian man, that's something that you would have to just kind of shift. And then you would have to just kind of come to a compromise and help them understand, the difference in how they operate with the women in their lives as opposed to what we're used to.
So talk to the sisters out there who are coming to Ghana, and you talked about this romanticized notion of Africa, Ghana specifically, because that's where we're at right now, and give them some advice on what they need to do to prepare for maybe meeting a man here, or just talk to them.
Okay, well, so first and foremost, there are a couple of things that I like to share with women, especially because there's so many women meeting men online. And so there's certain things that kind of are red flags. Number one, if you meet a man online and he is in his 20s or early 30s and he has not been married, he says he hasn't been married and doesn't have any children, most likely 99.9% of the time that is not true. Okay? Marriage is a big deal in this culture. Okay?
Right.
And having children is a big deal in this culture. And so most men in this culture are married by the time they're between 25 and 30. They're generally married by then, right? So you get there's a lot of women that I come in contact with, and they've met a guy, and then the guy is telling them, oh, no, I'm not married, I don't have any kids, and then they're meeting an older woman. Usually the target is older women who have probably grown children or whatever. Usually, I'm sorry, sisters, overweight, and usually like white or other women, but those are the ones they generally target. And so because they feel like those are the ones that may not get as much attention in the States, they're more apt to be accepting of their circumstances. This is another thing, ladies. If he says, oh, I haven't eaten in a few days, or I'm so poor and I need school fees and all that, that's a whole bunch of BS. Okay, don't listen to that. There's poverty here, but it's not the way we have been told it is, right? There's always, if he says he doesn't have a place to live, it's not that he doesn't have a place to live, it's that he may not want to stay there. But he's not completely homeless. Homelessness, I don't know. I've seen maybe a few homeless people in the street, and they're usually people who have severe mental health issues, right? You're a Ghanaian, so I think you can kind of relate to this in the sense that there's always a family house. There's always some place for you to live. Your family is not going to let you live on the street.
Unless you're, if you've done something completely wrong to the family and they completely disowned you, or your family is really impoverished, you have somewhere to go.
You generally have somewhere to go. And so, and then even with that, even poverty, everybody scrapes together and comes together to get what you need each day.
Right.
So don't let them con you into thinking that they're just so poor. They're not. Secondly, if a man says, oh, it's okay that you don't want to have children, or you can't have children, it's okay, or I will love your children as if they were my own, don't run the other direction. Every Ghanaian man is expected to have some children, period. Especially, I had a lady not too long ago. She was like, "Oh, he's Muslim." I said, "Oh, he's double responsible for me. He's supposed to have children." Do not listen to that. They have to have children. So if you go through in surrogacy, if you can't have children but you're willing to have children, surrogacy and things like that. They're starting to change and they're starting to accept that, but it's still not. It's still not really a well known option. And then also too, marriage. So if you are coming to visit someone and it's your first visit and they're telling you that you're gonna go to the courthouse and get married, don't come. Run the other direction. Don't do it. Do not do it. That is scam 101. They are trying to lock you down, because this is the thing. Here in Ghana, marriage is serious. It's about two families coming together. I see this all the time. The women will come here, they don't have anyone representing them from their family. The guy may have talked to their family online, but they haven't gone, they haven't done the knocking. So there's a whole thing that has to happen. You have to have the knocking ceremony, there's the engagement, there's the, the families talking and coming together. There's the bride price. I hear a lot of women say, I don't want a bride price. What? That's like buying me or something. And I'm like, no, the bride price is extremely important.
Yeah.
If he gets you for nothing, he's going to treat you like nothing. The family's going to treat you like nothing as well. Your bride price, the more the bride price is, the more respect you get. So this is something that, we, as us American women, we always, think that, I think that's a remnant of slavery too. You think that, if someone's putting a price on you, then that's, that's a negative.
That's
but
really
here, it's important. That bride price is your key to how much respect you get, basically.
Yeah. Wow, that's a great answer. So this is not to scare anyone away from coming to Ghana or coming to experience Ghana. It's just advice. She's a mental health expert, a professional, so she gives advice. But what are the positives of Ghana? Things that you've really fallen in love with? Because obviously you said you don't want to go back to the U.S. So tell us the positives about Ghana.
I have a little different story than most people because I have a family here, right? But it's just the sense of closeness. In America, everybody's so busy doing their own thing, but here you have time for each other. You have time to sit down with your friends. Like, I only work 2 days a week. Another 5, I'm like, I'm so busy, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, what am I doing? Like, but it's just, I'm just living life, just carefree. So I love the freedom. I love the weather, because you never have to consider, what's the weather going to be like today? Is it going to dampen my plans, right? Even on a rainy day in Ghana, like I always say, it's like the sky opens up and just, water is poured down for like 5 minutes and then it's over, and then the sun comes back out and you can keep going. I just love the freedom.
Have you seen a rainbow here? How many times? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I have.
Yeah, I remember as a child growing up, I always used to see rainbows. But then when I moved to the States, like, I never ever saw a rainbow. I've probably seen a rainbow like twice in the States.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen several, but but it's so prevalent here. It's so beautiful, even amongst the things that are, people consider negative. There's beauty in it. And I just have a great appreciation for just the natural beauty of Ghana. Like, I love hiking. There's so many just natural waterfalls here. It's amazing. So I'm planning a hiking tour for people coming from the States to join. Because it's so, and then I'm like the kind of elegant socialite lady, so I'm planning a tour for the more sophisticated ladies who like the high end stuff or whatever. So like a high tea at Kapinski and things like that. So there's so many things, and there's just so many things for different people.
Yeah, keep up with her, because she has some plans for what she's about to do in Ghana. So you might be interested in what she's about to do in the future. So. Yeah, so final question, final words for the people out there about Ghana. Any advice that, you'd like to share with?
I just want to say, and I went through a lot of things really fast today because we just had a short amount of time. But number one, keep an open mind. Number one thing I tell people to do if you're planning to come to Africa, any part of Africa, even if you're just planning to move out of the U.S. in general, go to therapy. Go to therapy, because we have been traumatized so long in that country.
Yeah.
There's so many things that we're carrying that we don't even realize we're carrying. And it shows up when you get here. Like, as you know, like I said, you got to be a little more patient, right? So your trauma, it's, you know, when you get angry because someone didn't bring, you know, the right drink, or, you know, they took too long to do something, whatever. That's a trauma response.
Yeah, it reveals itself a lot more here.
It reveals itself in so many ways. I knew this one lady, she came here and she got arrested because she had her phone in her hand while she's driving, and the officer pulled her over. But she, instead of just complying, you know, people here really don't respect the police anyway. So it's like the average Ghanaian would have just drove off. But you know, she's like wanting to fight the police. But that was a trauma response of how we have to deal with, you know, police in America.
Yeah.
These things show up. You don't even realize how traumatized you are. So that is the number one thing I tell people. Find a therapist. Try to, you know, process all the things that you've gone through in life, because as a therapist, there's sometimes people come to me because their dog died, and then they realize like they had a whole bunch of other stuff that they needed to work on.
Wow.
You don't even realize it's not present. Like I didn't even know I had done my work, but still didn't realize that I even had a lot of trauma wrapped around police. And didn't realize it until I was living in Ethiopia and and was pulled over by the police. Right?
Yeah,
so
I told you
about that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that we need to unpack, because I see a lot of people here in Ghana, and you might hear stories about people coming to Ghana and then they end up going back to the States. A lot of times it's because they were not mentally, emotionally prepared or financially prepared.
Wow. Yeah. That's great.
And just come with an open mind. Don't bring America with you, I always say. And that means don't have the expectation that things are going to be like they are in America. There's a lot of things here that are similar, because I always say Ghana is Africa light. You know, it's a good segue into Africa. But there are a lot of things that are different, and you've got to be able to just kind of roll with the punches.
Wow. That's great advice. That's great advice. Well, Adjoa, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really, really appreciate it. And guys, make sure that you like, subscribe, and also click the notification bell so you don't miss a thing if you'd like to see more content like this. But on behalf of Adjoa, it's your man, King Anan. Thank you, and we'll catch you on the next video.